Well, welcome to sunny Southern California, where it's warm all the time. They say it never rains in Southern California. So, somebody back there?
It's taking care of the...
Oh, okay, okay. So, the way I see it, human beings are most effective and satisfied as a community of people. That on our own, just me against the world, is a daunting proposition. Especially when it's just me against a whole mind full of problems and issues and confusions and fears and desires and aversions, and none of which seem to make any sense, all of which seem to collude together to make me miserable, wrapped up tight in my own little cave of a mind. But when human beings actually begin to work as a community of people, as a people with a common purpose and determination to do something about, to forward that purpose, to make that purpose actually come to pass, the whole nature of the experience of being part of being a human being changes. Now, this, well, I just don't know what to call it. This totally unexpected gift of the idea of looking at oneself and the effect of it. This too is not the work of a single person who was somehow born right or born wrong, or somehow had the right karma, the right destiny to suddenly come to a realization of the truth and a realization of a way to transmit and communicate the truth. This actually came about and dragged me kicking and screaming along with it, came about by 13 years of conversations with people, with other human beings. For the most part, other human beings who were part of spiritual communities themselves and part of the realm of spiritual aspiration themselves. I came upon this role and dragged Carla into it with me, mostly because of circumstantial needs, the circumstances of our life. It seemed like the circumstances of our life colluded in such a way as to make it impossible for us to do anything with our lives other than what we're doing now, other than meeting with people and talking to people. In the beginning, this was I saw this, I didn't actually see it this way, but what I could not see any way around was that what was going to happen with us is that I would become a satsang teacher, and like so many, and go around in the spiritual marketplace, basically offering satsang and saying the same old to the same old crowd of people, and everybody would be, okay with it. I had nothing to say that was particularly dramatically new I mean, that particular realm is pretty much well trodden in the 5,000 years that it's been going on. But I wanted to say nothing harmful. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to lie to anybody. And I knew, although I was not capable of articulating it, even to myself, I knew that arrangement was not satisfying to me. That there was something missing there. And what I felt was missing, and I mean, most of you guys have been with me for a while. This happened to me in probably in 97, I think, in prison when I had gone through a collapse of self-realization and collapse of the whole project of spiritual aspiration, and found myself bereft and hopeless. It was the end. I had tried everything. I had found something that seemed to work, and it turned to dust in my hands, and I was left, I guess, just waiting to die, but not sufficiently surrendered, I suppose you would have to say, to just accept that quietly. And I engaged in a period of time when, with all my heart, I tried. My purpose was to stamp out any hope of salvation in this lifetime by finding something to do that, when it failed, would once and for all rid me of this idea that there was anything to any of this, so that I could kind of get on with my life. And I had, maybe I'd become a counterfeiter, or I doubted that I would go back to robbing banks, but you never know. Huh? Whatever. Anyway, so I embarked upon this project to find something to do that would, when it failed to have the effect that I expected it to have, would free me of the whole idea that there was any hope for anything. And in the course of that, and for some time I now know when it happened, but at the time I didn't even know that it had happened. In the course of that, I got a look at myself. And my actual experience of what was going on was that I had failed even to wipe out hope, and that I was just kind of, well, here I am. That's that, and I guess I'll just get through this life as best I can. And then things started changing with me. Even before I was released in '98. I was released about a year after the event that I'm talking about. And even at the time of my release, there were pretty profound changes in my attitude toward things that I was unaware of until circumstance revealed them to me. Like when I was waiting to get out of prison, and the person who was responsible for releasing me held me back while he looked through every piece of paper in my file trying to find a reason why I should not be released. It seemed ridiculous that I would be released. And while sitting in a holding cell for a number of hours waiting for this decision to be made, I found myself to be actually pretty much uninterested in what the result would be to that decision. And it was, and that was the first clue I had that something was changed. So I got out. I had the enormous, the unbelievable luck of meeting Carla And circumstances led us to the point where it seemed that what we would be doing satsang. And I started doing satsang. But I knew something had happened to me that was not what would be expected from the kind of thing that I was suggesting to people. The kind of solutions and ideas and approaches and things that are a normal part of the satsang experience. I knew that what I was speaking of there was not what really had happened to me. And I could not, for the life of me, find a way to say what had happened to me. It was like I was speaking a language that didn't contain the words to convey what had actually happened to me. And during that period of time, well, during actually the entire 13 or 14 years that has transpired since then, I tried to make it clear to people that what I was speaking of was not actually what I wanted to say. And I tried to find a way to engage in conversation with the people that I was meeting with in a way that was not me transmitting something to them, but in a way that was us together in conversation trying to uncover what it was that I was trying to say. Because I thought I had something to say, but I didn't know what it was. Now the point of that is that this entire endeavor from the very beginning has been a community activity. Now, those who met with me in the early days, they didn't know that would be the case. I'm certain that they thought that they were coming to satsang to receive some kind of a transmission of whatever it is that's transmitted in satsang, and might have been actually quite perplexed that I would be insistent on trying to get from them some help in talking about this, some help in revealing what had happened to me in a way that could be useful to other people. So from the very beginning, this was an active community. Whether everybody involved in it knew it or not, it was a community activity, the development of an understanding of what had happened to me in a way that was simple and clear enough to pass on to other people. Now, the community aspect of what's happening here is explicit rather than implicit. And the proof of the pudding is in the really quite astonishing conversations that are taking place in the forums at our website. We have a forum and with a number of forums in it, and the people who have been involved in this work for the last few years now are gathering together in that venue and helping one another and learning within that community activity more and more about what it is to be a human being. And they're uncovering things that they show me things that I hadn't noticed before. Now, and this gets back to what I was talking about this morning, about the fact that human beings have this dual nature. There is certainly a boundary, there is certainly a sense of a mind that is me, that is particular to me, particular to my circumstances and the way that my life is unfolded. But it's also very apparent that there is a growing recognition internally of the connection between me and everybody else in the world, every other human being in the world. In the past, I mean, I'm not the first one to notice that, by a long shot. But in the past, what has been done for the most part has, well, I'm not sure what has been done. Well, yeah, what has been done for the most part is for communities of people The Buddhists call them sanghas, communities of people to gather around a teacher and to bring in other people to that teacher, to spread the news of that teaching abroad in the world, and that's pretty much the end of it. Still, there is this idea that there is a person from whom all truth and light and goodness flows, and the rest of the community whose responsibility is to receive that and transform it into a change in their own lives and their own in that. This community is different. This community from the beginning has been a rich interaction between me and everybody else that's been talking to me. And this community now is developing into the kind of a grown-up version of that same thing that's been going on for these 13 years. A version in which most of the people who are in the community now have actually done the looking and have seen the results begin to manifest in their own relationship with their life. That's one part of it. And the other part of it is people who are new to the looking, who come there as conflicted and confused as we all have been, trying to understand what's happening to them, trying to understand how this conforms and resonates with everything else that they've done in the past. But there they meet people that are not like anointed teachers, but just ordinary human beings like you and me, who have experience that is useful and provide guidance to them. We also have a community of people that I believe will be the means whereby the news of this incredible stroke of luck gets out in the world. We've seen that the most effective way, and let there be no mistake about it, really, my goal here is to get this out in the world. My goal is not to create some tradition, some new way of looking at things that is sanctified and intended to live forever. My goal is to help create an organization and an effective way of behaving that brings this simple act to the world. Just the act. It doesn't need a lot of explanation, doesn't need a lot. I like to talk, but you know, it doesn't really need all the talking I give it. Just to bring this act to the world. And when that happens, when it's clear to me and to Carla and to the other people in this community that we have succeeded in actually bringing this to enough people to ensure that everybody's going to hear about it, I'm through. I'm done. There's not going to be any forever organization and any forever foundation to protect and serve and clarify and massage and sweeten all the understandings and so forth. You know, that's the job of the human creature as a whole, not as some little collection of people who are of like mind and sufficiently similar to one another to be able to get along. This isn't an institution that we're developing here. This is a movement that has a beginning, it has a purpose, it has a goal, and when the goal is accomplished, it goes away. And if I'm right, it goes away and melts into the actuality of a community of human beings. That is the actual nature of human life and human existence. A community that is freed from the poison of fearfulness and anxiety and able to let the light of human intelligence shine on the experience of life by human beings and let the intelligence guide us to do something other than destroy the earth and ourselves with it. So to me, it's all about the community. Really, it's not me. I mean, I'm kind of the mouthpiece. I've always been kind of the mouthpiece. I hear what people say, I try to understand what they're saying, and I say it back to them. That's what I am, kind of a mouthpiece. So, whatever happens, whatever results within your own minds and your own experience of life as a result of our time together here in this retreat, and I fully expect that you will all come to see that something profound has taken place, something radical, something different has taken place, and that it's worthwhile, and that instead of, and this is, see, I spoke about this, I don't remember when, last night or today, when sanity strikes, there are two possible developments that come into the life in which it strikes. One is to head for the hills. And I have to tell you that if I had had the wherewithal to head for the hills 13 years ago, that's where I'd be now, not here. I'm really grateful and really deeply grateful that that wasn't the case, but that's what would have been the case if I had had the means to do so 13 years ago. So, therefore I ask people to be aware of that inclination and to just not attend to it, to come to the community, to take part in what's happening in this incredible adventure that we have embarked upon here. Notice the inclination to get away, because really, I can dig it. And just don't attend to it. Because that's what we have a choice about in these lives. And so far as I can see, that's our only choice, is what we attend to. And we don't always have that choice because, attention is pretty flighty and our understanding of our ability to control it is very shaky. But we do have the power to choose to attend to what needs attending to and to decline to attend to what doesn't need attending to without the requirement of demonizing what doesn't need to be attending to. So, when all is said and done, if you are as I am, don't attend to the idea that it would be better to escape, be better to head for the hills. Help, really, help. We're not, we don't have a complicated message to deliver. We have the simplest message imaginable to deliver. Help us do that when you can. Help us do that. Be part of the community of sane human beings. Okay, so that's all I have to say. Anybody want to talk to me? Which is really what I come for.
I'll always talk to you, John.
Oh, I'm always happy to talk to you. How you doing today? I didn't bait you today, did I?
No, you invited me warmly today.
Okay. I didn't intend to bait you last night either.
Things I'd like to say. I started in March with the contemplation of how do you feel that my teacher gave me to contemplate. And that was after understanding my own fear of life. And then in September, I met you face to face, and you changed the words from how do I feel to how does it feel to be you. And I took that on as a contemplation. And since March, there has been changes in my background energy, anxiety, the way that it manifests for me. Mm-hmm. And I guess I wasn't aware of that until this morning. And I didn't understand the profundity of what you were saying, that it will actually go away. Mm-hmm. It's such a radical claim.
It is.
I mean, I've been thinking about that ever since this morning. Your assertion, your claim. I mean, you're really hanging out there.
Yes, I am.
And I want you to be right.
Me too.
And however I can work with you to find out that you're right, I want to open to that. Because I want you to be right. What you're saying, I knew to be true in terms of the contemplation, in terms of the only thing we really control is our attention, and I've worked with my attention for a long time in shamatha vipassana, and have a relative amount of strength, stability, and clarity regarding attentiveness.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change that background energy fear of life.
Right.
And so thank you for perhaps the single best discovery for humanity. Because the way you talk about the human condition is very much the way that my teacher talks about it. And the not experiencing the basic goodness of being human in a natural, non-conflictual way.
Right.
But understanding these things, hearing them and understanding them, and having that understanding doesn't change the actual struggle that humans have in going about their daily affairs. It was pointed out to me that dogs don't struggle to be dogs. Dogs don't doubt their dogness. Only humans, when they're struggling with fear, struggle with what they are as beings. So I really want you to be right.
Oh, I want me to be right too, and I am well aware of just how radical it is. My suggestion is, and it's taken me several years since I came to see what actually was happening here before I could even bring myself to speak as directly and without qualification as to the what seems to be the immense power of this simple act as I am now. It took me several years before I was willing to stick my neck out that far. But like you, in my case, I've seen over those years a steady growth of people from all over the world, some who had never even met me, some who hear, when you begin to be heard of, you get spread all over the internet, right? And so the people hear me in avenues that I'm unaware of, and then eventually come back with reports about what's happened. And over those years, there have been so many people now, as I said this morning, who have made reports that are so consistent with my own experience of life as a human being, free of fear, and which reports are not the normal way that people would report such things, that it's become impossible for me to deny what seems to be really the best thing that's ever happened. But the way we see what we're doing, because we're not, because we're rational, we're not crazy people here. And the way we see what we're doing is more of, it's like this. This is what seems to be the case. It more and more seems to be the case that anyone who will perform this, try to do this simple act, pretty much without exception, there may be exceptions that haven't shown up yet, but so far, will find themselves free of the fear of life and in the position to begin intelligently living a human life with intelligence and a lack of antagonism.
Genuineness.
Genuineness, right. So, what we want to do, and since it seems like all that it takes is just this act, and all the rest of it, comes later, that what we want to do, and it seems that this act is so simple, so natural, and harmless actually self-evidently harmless, that if it can be suggested to anybody clearly enough, and the person actually listens, that listening to the act causes it to be performed.
If I had met you last year, I don't think I would have been capable of doing what you were asking. I didn't know until this spring that I didn't know how to feel. That I was feeling meant either my body aching or it meant the conceptualization of something, words in the head. It wasn't, I didn't know any other way of feeling.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I have since learned, since last spring, much to my surprise, that feeling is not conceptual. It's experiential.
Yeah.
And that there's a way of feeling our humanness that you can only begin to understand by working with attention, whether it's on the attention on the feeling of the microphone, that is a feeling that's an experience, that whatever you say about it is different because what you say about it is conceptual.
That's right.
And it's that level of feeling that your contemplation is directed at. And I wouldn't have known how to do that last year.
But what I'm suggesting is that you don't need to know how to do that, that it is so simple that if it's suggested clearly and directly enough, it'll happen whether you know how to do it or not.
Perhaps, but I think I would have thought my way through it.
You might have.
And that's not the same thing.
You might have resisted it in that way.
I wouldn't have even known I was doing it because I was so habituated to not feeling and yet believing that my thinking was a feeling.
Right, I understand that. However, we have seen that, and it may be that there are people who are hard cases and will have difficulty, who will resist it from the very beginning. If it's resisted from the very beginning by whatever means, then it can be held off. But what I think is, and what I'm convinced is, that if we can get it out in the world, widespread enough, without having the ropes of this idea or that idea, this, where it doesn't trigger the recognition as being something that people have heard of before, that if we can get it out into the world quickly enough and widespread enough, and by widespread enough I'm speaking in the neighborhood of 700 million people, right? If we can get it out quickly enough and widespread enough, that it will naturally spread throughout the human community because of the power of it, because of what it does to people when it happens, because of the way that it frees people from the fear, that it'll naturally spread throughout the human community. And so that what we are focused on now is making that happen, and to see whether that's true, to see whether it's true that getting this out to enough people, and like we actually live in a time when that's actually pretty easy, not that hard. Right? I mean, it takes some money and it takes some skill and so forth, but it's not that hard. If we can do that, we believe that that'll bring an end to the problem.
I didn't come up with this, but it just occurred to me, using the power of the internet, and probably the most innovative use of the internet today that I'm aware of for helping people change lives is TED Talks.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with that?
Yes, and we've had several people suggest me to the TED people.
Exactly, because this is so brief that they would gobble this up, and that TED Talks reaches so many people.
Right.
You'd be in 700 million people worldwide in a matter of your presentation.
Yes, and as I say, people are suggesting that to them, but it's not.
It's got to be 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
not.
can do it in 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, 20 minutes is plenty of time.
Oh yeah.
And that may happen, right?
I hope so.
There are other people also who we have some connection with, some people who have access to the public media in a way that's huge, and they may even come around. But what we think is that our responsibility is to stay focused on the ground, and the most effective way of making those big media outlets open up to us is by beginning with the grassroots, by beginning with the people who all over the world who have experienced this, learning how to speak to their friends and family and acquaintances in a natural, unforced way to bring the suggestion to them. And that as it spreads in that way, which of course it probably won't reach our goal, but as it spreads in that way, the consciousness of it will grow within the human community as a whole, including the TED Talks and including the other kinds of ways to have access to the public media. So we begin, like there's nothing I can do. People write, and please do write to TED if you wish to, and suggest it. But there's nothing we can do directly to make that happen. We don't have the fun, like I'm not talking about TED now, but to make the whole public media thing happen, we don't have the funds to do that. We don't have the expertise to do that, and so forth. But what we do have is a growing body of people who have found the wonder of being a human being through this simple act, and all of the people they know, and what we've moved on to now is just that, a project to spread this in a grassroots way on the ground from people who have the experience of it themselves, and not to go out preaching, What we're talking about is, like in the normal course of conversation, in a normal way that conversation occurs between acquaintances and family and so forth, to just be attentive to the appearance of opening to naturally and without antagonism or, true belief.
Talking about one's own fear
Yeah.
is a beautiful way to start.
Yeah.
There's no pretense there. There's genuineness there.
Yeah.
And that's the way, like, you start, and that's the way I think that anybody who wanted to try to take your message, that they could start with that level of bravery, brave enough to be honest.
Yeah. Yes, right.
Genuineness or authenticity.
Right.
That doesn't have to be in denial of what it is that we don't like. Because
That's right.
certainly, however we individually experience this fear of life, it's not what we like. It's
That's
what we
right.
don't like.
That's right.
And we're very
And denial
keenly
is the
aware of
biggest.
what we don't like.
Denial is the most prevalent and most powerful weapon of the fear of life, in
Absolutely.
denying that it's there.
That's why the bravery is so
That's right.
important, of bravery to be honest with oneself.
That's right.
And I think that's how to help people take the message out, is to let them know that they're called upon to be brave enough to be honest with themselves.
That's right. And as I said, we're going to start soon. We have the first meeting for people who are interested in beginning to, consciously take part in this experiment. We're having the first meeting next month.
I'm interested.
Well, have you been to our website?
No, my wife has.
Okay, well, if you go to our website, you'll see on every page a green button up top that says Grassroots. And if you click there, it'll take you to a place to sign up for the webinar meetings that we'll be holding regularly as this project unfolds.
I think you can count on me to be there.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. What a pleasure it is to meet you.
Ditto.
Okay. So here I am. I started out, when was it? Let's see, it must have been the 60s, right? I remember the 60s. I started out in the 60s being a revolutionary bank robber and destroyer of capitalist property. And here I am, kind of full circle, coming back to want to organize something that actually has a chance of saving the world. So, who else wants to talk to me? It doesn't have to be about this. If you have questions or confusions or anything, this is what I'm here for. Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
I don't remember your name.
Shahastra.
Shahastra, of course.
I haven't been here in a long time. But I wanted to kind of go through what you're talking about. I think I'm missing like a little piece here.
Okay.
Okay, I know fear as anxiety. Okay, so I see it coming up as a wave. This is the experience of it. Mm-hmm. Now, according to you, am I just looking at the wave and it will arise and go away, or am I stopping it and saying, wait a minute, this is anxiety, or am I can do the thing, who is experiencing this wave, but what would you say to that?
None of that.
None of that. Oh, thank you.
None of that.
Okay.
That anxiety, like we all have, and for the most part, we've become very adept at denying it and ignoring it, right? But we all have this, I don't anymore, but I used to, have this hum, this background of kind of incipient anxiety that can flare up at any moment, and it dies down and flares up, and for the most part, we've learned to live with it by just ignoring it when it can be ignored. But that incipient anxiety is what I call the fear of life. And it's not always active, and it's not always big, but it's always there. And it is the sense that there's something wrong with life, something wrong here, that I can't trust life. I can't trust myself, I can't trust life, but it's not even articulated. It's just the raw sense
It's sort
of
of
that.
an ongoing
Right.
backgrounds.
And that's what creates and shapes the psychological structures that are the only way we experience life at all, is through a whole mass of psychological structures, of attitudes, points of view, this and that and the other thing. So that in the mind that has been tainted and contaminated by this fearfulness, all of those structures come into being in service to the fear, trying to protect us from our lives. And the effect of that is to kind of hold our lives at arm's length, so we can interrogate everything that comes in and make sure that it's not going to snuff me out, or it's not some promise that could really save me, or so
Or
forth.
to not feel it, just to not hold it at a distance, to not feel it.
To not feel it too, right?
Okay, so is the point to feel it? Or
No.
Okay.
No. See, that what we've done in the past and what you're speaking of has to do with trying to reform the psychology. You see that, right?
Okay.
I need to feel it rather than deny
Or
it.
go through it.
Or go
like,
through
yeah,
it, or
instead of denying
whatever.
it, recognize it's
Right.
there.
And these are attempts to reform the psychology, and they come from a pretty much unexamined assumption that the psychology is the problem. That the problem is that I don't relate to things in the proper way, or I don't understand things in the proper way, or my childhood has caused me to shrink away from these things and go for those things, and so forth and so on. But the psychology itself is mechanical. It's just a bunch of algorithms that, like, certain things trigger certain responses. A certain set of circumstances arising that resembles past circumstances of that kind will trigger the same response all the time, right? So our efforts to reform the psychology, although they can provide some palliative effect, right, and temporary relief from these things, like receiving fear, receiving the experience, that feels okay for a while, but it's not going to do away with the underlying problem that causes that to come back again and again. So, everything we've done in that realm is useless to curing the actual disease. It's best to think of it as a disease. The inclination is to think of it as something that's my fault or their fault. But it's best to think of it as a disease. It's kind of an autoimmune disease, right? It's the organism trying to protect itself, but its effort to protect itself turns out to be more destructive than anything else that's happening. Now, we've discovered, and this is just something we've discovered, that this simple act of actually trying to get a direct experiential taste of you, that this simple act wipes out that fear, just takes it away. And when it goes away, all of this psychology begins to transform, because the basis of it, which has previously been the unexamined assumption that there's something wrong here, right, that I need to find an answer to or escape from, that's gone. So the psychological mechanisms that have served it become useless, and things get kind of crazy for a while. But after a while, all the neurotic structures disappear, and the whole personality is regenerated from a natural, healthy, sane, unconflicted, undiseased foundation. And that's what comes about. It takes some time, but there's nothing you need to do about it. There are things you can do to mitigate some of the confusion, but there's nothing you really need to do about it, because the end is the same.
So if the anxiety is arising and you're noticing it,
Doesn't matter.
you don't do anything with it. That's
Yeah,
what you're saying.
or you do whatever you want. It is of no consequence.
Okay, but
Of
it's
no
of no
consequence.
consequence.
Right? Okay? Now, the act itself, have we done this? Have you done this? Let's do it. Let's try it.
That's why I'm asked. That's why
Let's
I'm
try
sitting
this
here.
right now, okay? First of all, the most important thing about the act is to understand that it is an act of focusing of attention. It's an act that involves moving attention from one thing to the other. That's all it is.
Okay, so if I'm attending to the anxiety, I can't attend to what you're speaking of. Would that be true?
For just a moment,
That my
yes.
attention's there instead of
Yes, but
here.
remember, this is not like demonizing the anxiety and hoping that the
no,
anxiety...
just not giving
just
it
for that moment.
not giving it energy.
Just for that moment. Has nothing to do with not giving it energy. It has to do with taking control over your own attention, of your own ability to focus your attention on what you want it to be focused on. Now, if there's a cloud of anxiety present, attention naturally is going to be resting in that.
Right.
Right? That's where it's going to go.
Yes.
But I tell you that you don't have to leave it there. It may go back there again, but that's not the point. The point is that that focus of attention is the means whereby you can rid yourself of the cause of all of that. Not that itself here and now,
The root of
but
it.
of the root of it.
Okay.
So you can notice that, and this business about attention is beginning to be, I'm beginning to see that the power of attention is like really immense.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we can do. It's the only thing we can do.
I've discovered that I call it noticing. If I notice something, it starts dissipating right away.
Yeah, and that's true, and that is the movement of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that we can look at things and make them disappear, but that's not what this is about.
Okay.
Okay, those are things we do in order to feel better for a moment, however long a moment.
Right.
This has
It's a
nothing to do
Band-Aid.
with that. Yeah, and there's no problem with that. It's not wrong. It's not something you have to stop doing. It's just that you just want to do this one thing. And first of all, you have to see what it feels like to attend to something. So, since we've been using the microphone, you have that microphone hard and it has some weight to it, right? And you have it in your hand. And I want you to just kind of rest your attention on the feel of that. The feel of the microphone in your hand. And I want you to notice the fact that and this is important, that moving attention doesn't feel like you're actually moving anything. What happens when you move attention is that, like now, your attention is on the feel of the microphone in your hand. Everything else is still here, but your attention is focused there. Now, if I tell you to focus your attention on your breath, that focus changes, but it doesn't feel like you've moved anything. It's just that the feel of your breath coming into your body is now clearer and more present than it was before. And now the feel of the microphone is in the background. Right? So that's what it means to move your attention. So now, while you're attending to the feel of the microphone, instead of moving it to your breath, see if you cannot find the actual feeling of you, just you, what you call me. It's very simple.
There's
Not
nothing
much,
there.
Nothing there, nothing to speak of, but something,
Yeah.
a little
Something.
flavor, a little
Yeah.
something. That's you. That's you. Now, having done that, I tell you, you've done all you need to do. And what you can expect is that over the next few days or weeks or whatever, you'll find yourself doing that again. You find yourself repeating that.
So it's a practice
You-
of sorts.
You may, no, it's actually not a practice. You may take it as a practice and it won't do any harm. Some people do. Some people actually set out a time in the beginning and they sit
I don't
down.
mean that, but I mean like it's a remembering.
I'm sorry.
It's a remembering, some kind of remembering.
No, it's not.
No.
The amazing thing about it is that it really has nothing to do with you. That repetition just happens. And although some people interpret it to be something that they should do themselves, and that's fine, that's just the way it manifests in that mind. In others, they will find, and this is reports a lot, they'll find themselves turning to it unexpectedly while in the checkout line at the supermarket or waiting at a stop sign or something like that, right? So that it's not you, it is that act just kind of automatically repeats. And, you know, we can make up a lot of stories as to why that happens, but the only fact that's significant is that it happens.
So you're saying the knowledge that that can take place will allow it to take place? Because
Will cause it to take place.
Cause it to take place.
Yeah, with or without your
So I don't have to remember
assent. No,
anything.
you don't have to remember a thing. You've already done all you need to do. I'm telling you what you can expect will occur. One thing you can expect will occur is that you'll see it repeated over time. There'll come a time when it stops, and the reason for that is because it's not needed. The truth of the matter is that you're always aware of you. And we don't notice it because that's the last thing we want to look at. And there'll come a time when the need for the organism to constantly retouch that again and again will just pass away. And by that time, life is just life, and you are just you, and everything's just ducky. The other thing you might find happen is there might be a period, and for me there was a long period that was pretty extreme. For others also there have been long periods, but there are people for whom it doesn't take much time at all. And but there may be a period of disturbance when the anxiety will get bigger, when there'll be a feeling that you've done something wrong, that oh my God, what have I done? I've gone against everything I believe in, and now I'm doomed. All kinds of crazy thoughts can come, and what I think of that to be, you know, as a useful way to look at it, is just those foot soldiers of fear that are falling off a cliff and kind of screaming and yelling as they disappear. You will also notice that, and you'll notice it because I'm telling you to notice it, you'll also notice that you will find yourself not reacting in the way you've always reacted in the past to circumstances that you would expect would create a neurotic reaction, right? A resistance or whatever. You'll just notice that that doesn't happen. And that those noticings will eventually completely wipe out all of the disturbances and so forth as a new structure of personality is regenerated in an atmosphere free of the fear, free of that autoimmune disease. If you use the internet, I would advise you to go to our website and to go to, particularly to the forums there, because there are a lot of people there, hundreds of people there, who have been through this same experience and are now helping others who come freshly to this. And it's quite a wonderful community of people there, not like anything you've seen in the past. And you don't have to, you can just go there and read the postings, and eventually you'll probably decide you want to register and say something of your own, but just go there and read the postings, look around the website, and you'll find help there, some support, you know. You're not alone.
I used to work with Neelam a lot. You know Neelam?
I know Neelam.
Yeah, and some Byron Katie. So I'm not unfamiliar with the territory, but there seem to be like a few like details that
It's a radical
keep
departure.
changing. Yeah.
It's a radical departure. It says there's nothing you need to do except look once.
Yeah,
That's it.
It's not continual work on yourself, which
Right.
I had to leave after a while. It's like I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't. It's killing me.
Yes.
To me, I don't know what me that is, but the only thing I was going to say was that I found that the leaving of it, what I thought would bring me comfort and a little more peace, turned out to be more painful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for a while, but then there's a nagging sense
Yeah.
of, wait a minute, why am I here
That's
if not
right.
to wake up? So it feels good to come back in and not feel like I have to hit the pavement in some kind of way.
Yeah, really. It's
I mean, why is that? Why do humans? I don't know. There's a lot of whys that can't be answered, but
you'll lose interest in the whys that can't be answered.
yeah,
I promise.
they're hopeless anyway. Thank you.
So stick with us and
Yeah.
go and look at the community there.
Okay. Are you familiar with the open intelligence community?
Oh no,
No?
there's
No,
no.
you're
This
not,
is
or
us.
you. What?
The website is justonelook.org.
No, I'm just asking if you're in.
I
touch.
am in no community other than this community.
Okay, it's similar.
Well, a lot of things sound similar. So far, I haven't seen anything that actually
Gives you a glimpse. No.
gives you a,
Well, you have a tool.
yeah, right. There's no tools out there.
Yeah, we need a tool.
This is an act. This is a simple act that, and I think that everybody who has found relief from the experience of being a human being has found that relief as a result of this same act. But I think that until now, nobody has really known exactly what happened to them. And they've tried to explain what happened to them in the vocabulary and the vernacular and the general way that these things are understood. And that hijacks the power of it, because it has nothing to do with working on yourself. Nothing. I mean, you may or may not work on yourself as you go sane, but it's a whole different thing, and has nothing to do with that. So stick with us, and go to the website.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? What time is it? Look at you all smiling. And pretty. Well, I guess we could call it a day, couldn't we? Okay, Lita. Yay, Lita. I knew I would scare you up here.
And really, I don't have a question. I'm just here for the resonance.
Here, let me transmit something to you.
It's a satsang joke.
A satsang joke, right?
So I guess I have two questions. One is, one is this it relates to this continuing fear idea that I still haven't done this, and I've been here for a while, and I hear people talking about what they are seeing. Oh, there's nothing there, or oh, there's, and then I hear you talking about
nothing there. Where is nothing there?
like when they look.
Who says there's nothing there? Yes, but then she admitted to the fact that actually there is something there.
Okay, and
very subtle.
okay.
You're not a very big thing. There's
Right.
There's not much to you, really.
Okay, because when I do it, I feel like when you say Ramana said force of personality. Like what I feel feels. I guess the question would be, if I were to see this thing, is mine different from somebody else's? Because
No.
mine feels like me, huh?
Yes, it does feel like you. It is you.
And it's different from what other people might feel. I mean, I guess we have no way of knowing.
I have no way of knowing.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a suspicion, though,
What's that?
and that is that it is the same for us all.
So if it still feels different, does that mean I haven't gotten to it?
How can you tell it feels different?
Because it feels like me. I mean, I don't know. Because my manifestation is so different from other people's. Like, all my life have felt like I'm different. So it just, am. I'm totally special.
You're so
Well, I don't
special.
have to be. I mean, you are too. Well, I mean, everybody's special, but you're all special in your own ways.
Except for that way.
What?
Except for the way you get in touch with that meanness is the same meanness for everybody. Not the apparatus, which is different.
But I don't know.
Well, so what?
Well, I guess because if I was still feeling this thing that's different and everybody else is feeling this thing that's the same, then I would think I was doing it wrong and I would try something different.
Could you move that down a little bit because I can't hear you.
She always says hold it higher, so, okay. So I guess it just matters because if I'm seeing something different and I should be seeing something that's the same, then I'm doing it wrong, and I would do it
I
different.
have never told you you should be seeing something that's the same.
No.
Nor
I know.
have I ever told you should be seeing something that's different.
No, I know.
I
You
have-
never say what we're going to see at all.
I have told, yes, I do. I say what you are seeing is you.
Right.
That's
right.
all.
It's so not useful.
The
Yeah.
rest of it is all speculation.
Right. Right.
And you have a particularly active set of psychological structures
I
that
do. That's so generous of you.
kind
Yeah.
of like a hive of bees that likes to go.
I know. And I think also I've been feeling lately like I may have been doing it wrong all along, because when you talk about denial, like there are two things you talk about that could be parallel. One is that, when you succeed, the fears will abate and things that would have made you anxious don't make you anxious anymore. But then there's also that you could just be in denial about the anxiety.
If you've looked, denial is no longer available to you.
Mm.
Really, it's just not something you're going to be
And
able
the
to
trying
manage.
is the same as the succeeding, and I know I've tried, so
Yes.
okay.
There's no doubt in my mind, Lita. How long have we known each other?
Years, I don't know.
Years,
I know.
and I've seen you from the very
I
beginning.
know.
And I tell you,
I know.
the difference is.
Yeah. So.
You can tell these guys that stuff.
So my second question,
Okay.
on a totally different, I will hit that grassroots button also, except I don't have very good access. I may not be able to join in. But I'm curious about how we can talk to other people about this, because you say just sort of bring it up. And I actually talked to somebody the other day who, a younger woman who I don't know very well, and she did it, I guess, and she wrote back to me and said, wow, I'm driving on the freeway now and I see everybody's motivated by fear. Like, I had no idea. And so it seems like it sort of hit her. But when I've talked to other people, like my dad thinks you're a charlatan. Like, other people do not, it doesn't hit for most people.
Well, and the reason for
And I
it,
may be doing it, I
yes,
may be
right. The
approaching
reason
it
for
that
that
way.
is because it takes the development of some skill, and I'm still developing that skill myself to be able to lead people to that act.
Right,
And that's the point of the grassroots,
right.
is for us to be able to develop together the skills that are necessary to recognize, to notice when there's a natural opening to
Right.
speak about it.
So let's talk about now about how that, not just like do you only do this on the webcast, or can we talk about it now also? Because I may not be able to join that.
We can talk about it a little bit, but
Okay.
once again, I'm not just saying it when I say this is a community effort.
I know.
And
So
I'm
I'll
not-
talk too. Okay.
There's just you and me here.
I know.
and,
Well, there's-
Yeah, everybody else can chime in too. That's right. So, what do you have to say?
Some people. Well, I think. You said that young people take to it better, maybe.
I
Okay.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've noticed that, and I think that that's. I think that our natural audience is people in the TV demo, 18 to 35. That is the the age range, I think when this can most readily be heard and acted upon, because people are still haven't settled on a temporary solution to the problem of being human. They're still looking for something. They know something's wrong, and they don't have to be told that. They know it. It's apparent, and they're still looking for a way to manage their lives. So I think that's the most natural audience for this, rather than graybeards like me. And I hope we reach a lot of young people.
I think it may also have helped that I don't have much of a relationship with this person. She's kind of a casual friend.
Yeah.
I think the more you have a closer relationship with people, it's kind of interwound. It's kind of like it would be, I think part of what you've said in the past, that what you have is not resonance, it's just that people trust you because you're not really asking anything of them, I think was the, I know I'm paraphrasing. And I think when you're in those relationships, or to the extent that you have some agenda about this happening, it's less likely that people will do it.
Well, I think there's some truth to that. You know, when you're in a long-standing relationship, now here you are, the person that you're in the relationship with has known you for a long time, and you're the old leader. You'll never be the new leader unless that person becomes a new them.
Huh?
You'll never be a new leader to the persons that are in long-standing relationships with you. They'll always see you through the cloud of the leader that they've always known,
Yeah,
right?
Largely.
And so that it may be more difficult. But, so I agree with that. But that too, you know, you can learn with over time to be just patient. Most of it has to do with patience and attention. Just noticing what's going on, and patience. There's no need to shove this down people's throats. You know, it's like...
Well, and you can't, the more you, I mean, it's the kind of, it's, for example, you wouldn't want to raise it when somebody that you're in a close relationship with is having some kind of disturbance, because the response is liable to be, F you, I'm pissed at you because you're, like, don't tell me to go look at myself.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right.
You know, it needs to be suggested in a circumstance that it doesn't, where there's no possibility of suspecting you of ulterior motives in
Right, of
in
trying to
doing
change
this.
them and
Right,
change the relationship.
trying to change them.
Right.
But here's the first thing, right? Now these matters that we're talking about here are really important, and they're going to, I suspect, play a big part in the grassroots movement itself. But the thing that must be seen first is exactly what it is that you want them to do. Mm-hmm. You have to see that what you want them to do is just this act. You need not get them to agree with it. Mm-hmm. You need not get them to
believe in
it. You need not persuade them that it's going to have anything at all. You just need to get them to do the act, just that. And that's I think the most critical principle that has to be followed, is to see that what we're trying to do is to get this act performed by everybody that we can possibly suggest it to. And since the act is harmless, so obviously harmless, and so obviously natural, I think it's going to be easy to do that.
You think so?
Well, you know, I mean, proof is in the pudding. I've got 5,000-6,000 people out there who...
Yeah, but you got the resonance.
Excuse me,
Right.
It's the Ojai retreat.
I know.
So just keep in mind that that you're looking for an opportunity to suggest to people that they look at themselves without regard to why or what it's going to bring about or anything at all. Your purpose is singular and uncomplicated. What you're trying to do is get people to do this act.
You know, I have another issue, like right after, because when I say that to people, the next thing they usually say is, what do you mean? And then I fail.
Well, then you tell them what you mean. Look, you see, you see how I do it, right?
You went? Yeah.
You
do.
explain to them that when they say, how do I do it, or what do you mean? Say, okay, listen, this is what I mean. You know that you can move your attention, right?
Right.
You know you can focus your attention.
Right.
And show them that they can focus their attention.
Right.
And then, because if they ask you what you mean, that's your chance.
Right.
You show them that they can focus their attention, that they actually have control over that.
Right.
And then you suggest to them while they're in the process of working with attention, you suggest to them that they get a taste of what it feels like to be them.
And then they say.
And they'll say, what do you mean? And you say, just you, what
I
you
know,
call me.
I know. Yeah, and then they, no. It goes back and forth a lot then with the what do you mean?
Yeah.
And-
Yes, and then you can expect that if they are following you, they will do it. Whatever they say,
They're doing
following it, they're doing
it. They're
it.
doing it because they're trying.
That's right, because they're trying.
Even if they don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you remember, and we've spoken about this, and we just talked about it, there's not much to you.
Mm.
You know, like it's not like there's going to be a bombshell explode at the moment that you touch the reality of yourself with your attention. You might not even notice it. I mean, you don't notice it. It's always here. You're always here.
Right.
So keep that in mind. Success does not mean that they say, oh, Lord, hallelujah, yes, whatever, you know. And you just be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Patience,
Like
patience.
with everything else. Right.
Huh?
Like with the rest of it.
Yes, like with the rest of it, patience.
Right.
And remember that when you're in the conversations with people about this, you're not trying to get anything from them.
Mm-hmm.
You're their friend.
Right.
You really are.
Oh, I
You're
know.
being the
Yeah.
best friend you can
Because
possibly
you're watching
be.
them suffer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Which is why I wish I could be more effective, because really, like, people then say, like, oh, okay, but when you say look at you, and I say, well, look at, what it means to
don't.
feel.
Yes,
and then
but
then I don't want to say anymore because I know you don't say anymore.
And
Because
what
the
I've
more
learned
you
is that
say,
all you do is get them to do it.
but
and
get
that's
them to
the end of
do what? Like, it just,
What we just said.
I know, but, but no, yeah, because people then, like,
Practice,
they say, is
practice.
Okay.
I used to say, what I used to say is, practice makes perfect, says Chairman Mao.
Why, Chairman?
That's a reference that probably almost nobody could get.
That's right.
Mao Zedong wrote a book once called On Practice that was actually quite powerful and clear and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And so that causes me sometimes to just,
Go with that.
glance back at my old self.
Right. There's a card game called Mao that's really fun. So nothing. And a thought just came and went because I got off on the Mao thing. Okay.
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
Just be patient. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the people you're around. Patience,
yeah.
patience, and practice.
Yeah, I think I remembered. It's part of why I think it's harder in relationships because you are doing it as their friend so that they won't suffer. But kind of like when you were saying that most people who get this run for the hills.
Yeah.
Like if you're around somebody who's suffering and you're close to them, it can never just be disinterested, like, here, this will help you.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right, but it can be intelligent and direct and sane.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer you are to somebody, and the more you know the person, the more you will know how to communicate with them in a way that's direct. It cuts through the fog.
Right. There's also that denial thing. Like, I've always thought you can't really bring anything to somebody who, if somebody's already telling you they're happy, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm saying.
It's their business.
The point of this is, right, you wait for the opportunity.
Right.
Like I don't go out and grab people in the street and say, wait a minute, where are you going? Look at yourself. Right.
Right.
Can you see what you're doing? For God's sake, stop.
Right.
That's what I mean when I talk about the cultivating the capacity to notice when there's a natural opening
Right.
where it can be talked about without
Right.
force.
Right, but again, in a close relationship, that moment where they're open to it is a moment when they're disturbed in a way that may not be a moment they want to hear that kind of thing
Yeah,
from
well,
you. So,
there it
yeah,
is. And
Yeah,
you just do the best you can
there you do.
with what
Yeah.
you got to work with,
Right, of course.
you know?
Hmm.
It's going to be fine.
It already is.
It is. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're all going to be fine.
Yeah, maybe.
We are. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes, I do.
That's good.
I have great optimism,
Good.
which is new to me.
What is it? I just heard there's a saying, optimism is different from hope. It's Václav Havel. It's not the understanding that everything will work out for the best. It's the understanding that in the end everything will make sense. I think that's how he says it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, optimism is different from hope. I hate hope.
But that's an interesting thing because that's actually what occurs as the outcome of the looking is that everything makes sense.
Right.
It's one of the things that, one of the benefits. Everything makes sense for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
And don't get lost. I'm as close as your computer.
You know, I only have dial-up. And even that only a half hour.
You
every
have
other day.
smartphones and stuff, don't you?
No, because a smartphone would mean I had wireless. I'm not going to have wireless. I
We're
have to
just-
drive
we're just
20
on the-
minutes to.
We have someone who has come forward, a young man, who brand new, who is young and seems to have dodged a lot of the. This is one of the reasons that that I see this a lot with young people. Has dodged all that craziness
Mhm.
that sometimes ensues after the looking, and who is apparently quite adept and good at creating apps. And he is setting up an app, and we're going to have an app pretty soon.
Looking at yourself app?
Yeah,
What is it,
and
like a
looks
mirror?
pretty good, actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, look at yourself app, you know. Which,
Just like a mirror or something?
huh?
Mirrors do that also. No, what?
No, not a mirror. Like that contains the instructions for looking at yourself in a way that's easy to follow, and I'm really kind of excited about that app. I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
We'll keep in touch one way or another.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, we done?
I just have a quick question.
Come on. Come on.
It just came up for me while Lita was talking with you. And that is, what is the relationship between the I thought and getting in touch what it feels like to be me?
I think you should abandon the idea about the I thought.
Okay.
I think that those kind of things are confusing. And although when they were first proposed, the thing about the I thought,
Yeah.
there was good reason for suspecting that that would be something useful to people. It has turned out to be not useful. Not useful.
Okay.
This comes into the whole question of the metaphysics of human existence, and the metaphysics of human existence are as they are, and they will reveal themselves to you over time as they do, but they are of no consequence. The philosophical and metaphysical nature of being a human being is of no consequence.
Well, for
Means
me,
nothing.
when I was sitting there, I was really getting in touch with the feeling of being me, so that it was almost a continuous
It is
experience.
continuous.
But
It is
and,
continuous.
And when Lita mentioned, is this the same as everyone else's or different? And I was thinking to myself, if it was actually unique to me, I'd almost feel like I was drowning in myself and it would become a horrifying experience that I'd want to escape from. because everywhere I look, there's just me, and it's my own me, and it has nothing to do with anyone else's. And it's like if everything was pink colored, and everywhere you looked, it was pink, and you just got tired of the color pink, and there's nothing you could do about it forever. And so what she raised there was actually a very interesting point.
But you know that's not the case. And if
Well, no, you
want to
said
talk-
you didn't know.
If you want to talk, no, you know that as you look out on this group of people
Yes.
here, you can see that they're all different people. And they all have the marks of different lives with different experiences,
true.
with different rewards, with different punishments. You can see that. You can see that when you look at me. I'm not the same as you.
Yes.
Now, my
Meanness.
essential nature,
Yes.
I believe, is exactly the same as yours.
Yes.
But my essential nature, there's not much to it. Who cares? The human creature that has arisen from that essential nature here in this world is different from the human creature that has
Yes.
arisen from that essential nature in that world. The human mind, your life is your mind. They're the same thing. There's no difference between them. And the human mind is endlessly in motion, endlessly changing, endlessly reacting or responding or receiving or giving, right? Endlessly changing, looking different. It is conditioned by the nature of the body. It's conditioned by the area you live in. It's conditioned by your experience over the history of your life. That this mind, which is mind, personality, psychology, life, are all the same thing. They're all the same thing. And it is different for you than it is for me. And that's the wonder of it. That's the wonder of it. That's not something that's the problem, as you can see.
Yeah.
That's the wonder of it. Now, if that were all there was to it, if there was nothing to me other than this bag of bones and flesh and memory and insight and thought and all that stuff, that would be horrifying.
Yes.
It would be like being in solitary confinement, which I have some familiarity with, as it happens. And that's not the case, although when we're afflicted by this disease of fearfulness and anxiety, we try to make that the case. We try to close and make stable and unmoving this me that is this life.
Which becomes a solitary confinement.
Which becomes an attempt at solitary confinement. Never works very well because it's just not the case, but yes. And what happens when the fear goes, when that background of fearfulness and anxiety and distrust of life and disaffection with life, when that disappears, then things are just as they actually are. Yes, I am a human being. Yes, I have a particular history. I have a particular way of looking at things. I have a floater in my right eye that you probably don't have. You know, yes,
But you're
all
not
that's
fighting
true.
with it at that point.
But yes, all that's true. But that's not all that's true. It's not all that's true. I am affected by your presence here. Your presence here, when confusion is present in you, that confusion is also present in me, but it's no longer me. It's no longer like something that I have to get rid of by doing something to myself. I have to get rid of it by doing something with you. Either abandoning you, getting away from you. I couldn't hurt you if I wanted to. Either getting away from you or saying, please look at yourself. Look. Stop this madness. Look. That's what I've chosen to do. Well, actually, as I said earlier, if I had been a rich man, I don't think I would have been doing this. But and that makes me actually grateful for being broke. Because this is amazing what we've come upon. Truly amazing. So yes, you are unique, a unique individual, and that's what's referred to as the I thought, that whole array of characteristics and memories and expectations and so forth that is constantly rising and rising and rising and appearing and appearing. Yes, you are a unique individual, totally unique, constantly changing, uniquely. And yes, you are exactly the same as me.
And so the getting in
Exactly.
touch with feeling what it's like to be me is where I'm getting in touch with that unified state.
Yes. But-
Not the unique I thought state. Because
Yes.
I was trying to really cognize, am I actually getting in touch with what it feels like to be me, or just the thought of me? And
Let me tell you, when we had our
Yeah.
moment together, you did what you needed to do.
Okay.
It was really obvious to me.
Okay.
You really don't need to concern yourself as to whether you have succeeded. You truly have succeeded.
Okay.
And you'll see it happening. And those kind of thoughts will continue to come.
Yeah.
And they may even get worse. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, be aware of that.
Okay.
And don't forget the resources that are available at the website. There are people there just like you who have come through this period of recovery and have something to say that's useful and helpful and encouraging. And so there. And you're going to be fine.
Okay.
You really are. And you need not, you will, but you need not concern yourself with those kind of
Okay.
confusions and the like. You are you. And what has happened, I'm convinced, what has happened is, what I honestly believe the power of this comes from is the fact that the entire unique individual personality has come into being in an atmosphere that distrusts life, that thinks something's wrong. The assumption, unexamined assumption, is that something is wrong, something needs to be done, something needs to be gotten rid of, something needs to be gotten, something has to happen here, and on and on and on.
For a little levity, you know, I have a Jewish mother. That explains that part.
Now I don't remember what I was going to say. But it's just perfectly okay, really.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. It's not. This is not rocket science.
Yeah.
Although we'll try to make it of rocket science. You will probably. You'll be worrying about stuff, chewing on stuff, but
Yeah.
it'll go away. It'll go away on its own. It just won't show up. Well, I know what I was going to say. What happens is that within this atmosphere of the feeling of wrongness and disturbance and yearning for freedom comes it's like a light being shown on it. Although please don't take that literally. But it's like a light is shown on the whole apparatus that reveals in a completely expressible manner, just by the nature of it, it reveals that all of that is BS. That whole thing is stupid, false. It is not the case. And when it's revealed not to be the case, although that doesn't percolate into the intellect of the afflicted personality, when that revelation that it's not the case occurs, the whole foundation for the insanity, for the misery, for the wanting, the yearning, the trying to get out of life, trying to escape from things, to transcend things and so forth, that whole energy just goes away. It has no food anymore. It just goes away. Because it's revealed that you are the same to now, today, as you have always been. That you have not been scarred, harmed, wounded, hurt by anything whatsoever that has occurred in this life. That you are as you have always been. That is revealed not to the intellect, it's revealed much prior to conscious understanding of things. And that's why it's so surprising, the outcome. Because what happens below the level of individual consciousness. But then the rug has been pulled out from under the whole project of self-protection and self-defense. And whether you like it or not, and whether you do anything about it or not, that whole army of warriors that are set out to protect you and defend you and keep you safe from harm and watch out to make sure nothing catches you by surprise, they just kind of starve to death and fall away. It's because it's revealed that nothing has ever hurt you. Nothing has ever helped you. Nothing has ever had the slightest bit of effect on you whatsoever, on your actual reality of your nature. Never. And that's what happens. And we can, and it's not like people have not known that to be the case. People have known that to be the case and have tried to beat our brains in with it for a long time. But they're trying to persuade us of that. It's not, and it's all they can do. They try to persuade us of that, and you cannot be persuaded of that because the you that is trying to be persuaded is precisely the apparatus of defensive and aggressive and denying activity itself. So that it must fail. If I try to persuade you of that, it must fail. But when the reality of it is revealed below the conscious attention, conscious notice, it's just the case. And everything goes as it should. And the stupidity falls away. Sometimes kicking and screaming, sometimes not so much. I hope for you that it's not so much.
That is wonderful good news.
It is good news. It's great good news. Okay?
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And that'll be it for today. I'm just having the time of my life.
I just have to say bravo.
I'm just having the time of my life. I'm so grateful for you to be here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Try to stay warm. We arranged for this cold snap to come so that you guys would have something to worry about. I love you all. Just give me a moment to go, and Carla almost certainly has something to say, and she's easier to listen to from my point of view.